friendly neighborhood PhD, and you're listening to the TyePod. Well, hey everybody, it's another episode of the TyePod. Today I'm joined by Steve and Vicki, who are launching their own sort of interdisabled YouTube content page and Instagram and the whole world of social media, basically. But I've really been checking out all your content. Appreciate the honesty and authenticity you bring to your content so far. So I'm happy to visit with you and have you both on.
Well, thank you for having us.
Oh, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I've noticed that there's been some videos where you guys are remote, right? And like somewhere you're together. So like what does that dynamic kind of look at, just to jump in a little bit on, your relationship on that level?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Pittsburgh and she's in Chicago. Yeah. So it's
Most of the time. Yeah.
it's a lot of back and forth.
Okay.
And so our ever-changing lives and what we're doing with that, but it's it's been a long time where we've been in our own home bases and then just doing visits in between, and sometimes for work, sometimes for vacation, and so we kind of do some of our content remote and some here. Depending on where we're at. For us, it's always been sort of strange because we have the same banter, whether it's in person or not. It's just the difference is sometimes the technological barriers of getting everything lined up properly.
True.
Right.
Yeah. Also, it's a lot harder to like interact with someone, like if we're having a conversation and I'm supposed to, speak as if we're having a conversation, it's just easier to do when we're next to each other and we can have that conversation in person. So it's taken some getting used to, like, talking to the camera, talking to my computer.
Yeah, like I get that cadence, right? Like as much as you want it to be exactly the same, there's obviously always going to be some subtle differences, plus just being in contact too. It's like a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
So how far is Pittsburgh and Chicago, like on a plane flight? Is it a few hours?
497 miles. So it's like only an hour and a half flight.
It's a very short flight. It's not even an hour. It's a really short flight. It's very easy. And I feel like, we've been able to do every other month or so. We're trying to do more frequent visits, but in general, we've been pretty good about, scheduling visits ahead of time and making sure that we have that in-person time. And it's been pretty smooth in general.
Yeah. Scheduling, we have had some couples who did the long distance thing and then converted as well. And, one of the tips we got early on was whenever you're on a trip, schedule the next one. So that you know when you're going to see the person again. And that helps sort of not make it like, oh God, I don't know when I'm going to see you again, because you do.
Right. And I mean, like that, without that element there, I feel like it would always be sort of that loneliness thing, like that disconnect could form really quickly. So like that's, for me, just in my mind, I would think that would help a lot to, have that to look forward to on the next time around. Yeah.
Knowing exactly when we're going to see each other again is really
yeah. So as far as like the dynamics of travel, like Steve, I know you probably are familiar with one of the plane issues that so many of us are doing. So like, do you fly? Do you drive? Like, what does that look like for you?
For anywhere that I go, I have to drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually don't use my wheelchair. I usually use a van, but I don't want to drive all the way there. But Vicki will fly back. I'll be there in 18 days.
I think it would be longer than that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like they haven't came out with that chair yet that I've
that would be cool, but yeah.
Or like some like rocket boosters or something.
I was gonna say you need boosters. Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll look up Vin Diesel. We'll get him to hook up my chair.
I mean, they're sending people into space, right? Like people travel that way, so why not?
Why not?
I mean,
Yeah,
this could be the start right here.
Yep.
This is it.
It just takes the idea, right?
This is the moment.
Listen, $1 million starts right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the business partnership is here now. I can tell. Yeah. So you drive everywhere though, like in your accessible van, and okay.
I have to use gotta use the soccer mom van to go from everywhere.
I feel you. I feel you there. Yeah. Have you seen the ones that are like almost like a miniature motorhome that you can? Those things are crazy. Yeah. Just. Yeah, but again,
that'd be nice.
Money wise. Yeah. So are you able to drive your vehicle, or do you have like a caregiver take you? Or like what is?
Yeah, so I unfortunately have to have a team of people that get to go along with me. The entourage, as you would. But yeah, I do have an entourage. Yeah, willingly.
Not so bad.
But I usually take 2 people with me, and Vicki, now that she's in my life, and so I've been doing trips for the last couple of decades for work and whatnot. But when it comes to us doing things together, it's usually a packed mom van, and doing things that she'll usually fly to me, and then we'll go drive wherever we're going to drive.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you have like the same people every time sort of help you out, or like is it consistent on your caregivers? Because for me, it's been family mostly, but then trying to incorporate outside help has been crazy on my side. So I was curious like what that is like for you.
It's a lot of negotiations. It's a lot of
Yeah.
I have my 6 nurses that work with me, but only 4 of them are full time, and only a
Mhm.
couple of them are willing to travel. So you sort
Yeah.
of keep barking down the tree of who's willing to go and who do you want to go, and so it's always a bit of a okay, well I'll do this, but then I want off a week over here, and juggling the balls of logistics in the air, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's been good. That was part of what we wanted to tackle on the Interdisabled and Love channel, was talking about how it is such a logistic nightmare, and how
Yeah.
there has been so much better for me because she can do all the medical stuff while somebody else drives, which is
Yeah.
nice, or she can drive while they do the medical stuff.
Right. So tag team a little bit that way.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's always a give and take, anytime you travel very far. I mean, and for me, it's like most of my medical appointments are 2 hours away. So, it's just
um,
constantly always having to plan and range. And, the more schedules you put together, the more complicated obviously it is. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there. And I don't know if you've flown with your ventilator and trach and everything, but I quit flying years ago just when I had the wheelchair. So yeah, it's just I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to take that risk with all the issues
no.
that happen. So
No,
Right.
I've seen
yeah.
too many people out there, from the high level content creators that everybody knows, down to just friends that have
Hmm.
had airline experiences. It doesn't matter your level of fame or fortune; they'll toss your wheelchair at the bottom of the plane, and good luck to it. So,
Yep, they don't discriminate on that side of it, do they?
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's kind of a nightmare, kind of scary, kind of, especially for me. I have spinal muscular atrophy, so everything on
Hmm.
me is super easy to break and super easy to hurt. So I
Yeah.
really don't want some random person throwing me into an airline seat.
And
It's not going to end well.
there's still no training or no real, process that works there. So
No,
yeah, yeah, and the injury would be catastrophic almost on, well, with yours, it sounds like, and with my MD too, it's just like, it's just not worth it. But
no, no.
yeah,
Especially when I've got a significant other. I mean, Vicky stops me from doing half the crazy stuff I want to do, where I'm just like, that'll probably be fine.
she's
She's
like,
like,
slow down there a
no.
little bit.
You're
Yeah.
literally gonna break your feet. You're gonna break your feet. We're not doing this. It's
Hey,
not worth
that's
it.
great though that you're like that you see that though.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, has that been something, Vicky, that you've always done since you've been together? Like, have you always, I guess, did you pick up quickly like what things to avoid or what things are more dangerous? Like just being around.
It's been a process. I mean, I think the first time that we met in person was definitely like we were presenting together at a conference in
Mm,
Philadelphia, and it was like crash course. We had never met in person before. We had just been, we had been friends for a long time
uh,
online, and then kind of got closer and closer. But the first time we met in person was at this conference, so we were on the road, and it was there's no crash course like just meeting and being on the road, because
true.
everything's different. I found that like when we're at Steve's home, everything is where it should be, and it's intuitive, and it's safer.
Hmm.
But when you're on the road, everything's out the window. Things go wrong all the time.
Right.
Hoyer lifts break. Like there's just things go wrong all the time. And I've learned to be a little bit more flexible, especially when we're out and about. But Steve is very stubborn, and so he has a tendency to just be like, it'll be fine, I can handle this. And sometimes I forget like that he will take the risk, and I have to be like, wait, is this really a risk, or is this, and sometimes we learn after the fact that yes, that was not a good idea, that we
Mhm.
probably shouldn't have done that. Maybe next time we
Yeah.
won't do that. So it is a learning process for me too. Because he's very good at he is very stubborn, and he also likes to like pretend he's okay when he's really
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So that's been a learning process with Steve.
I feel like I feel like with you having your own disability sort of let you ease into it easier than some relationships I've seen, and even experienced. Like when the other person's completely able-bodied and you're not, then it's almost like a culture shock for the other individual. And I felt like she acclimated way faster than a lot of the previous people that I've dated, and a lot of the friends I've had who have had complaints over the years. Her having her own challenges, she was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this is going to be strange. Oh well, you know.
I
Yeah.
think that's been so like fundamental in our relationship. Is just the like we have, our disabilities are very different, our situations are different, our struggles are different, but we relate to each other on, so many levels that I would not have anticipated. And
Okay.
so that's been really so critical,
Yeah.
and has made our connection so much stronger.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, just in general on the disability side, like, I know there's visible versus invisible, that kind of thing, but like what I was going to give you both maybe just a few sentences on what your disability is. I know you mentioned SMA already, Steve, but like just kind of a generic, overview of both situations if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, yeah. So I have SMA type 2. Mine is somewhere in the middle. It's a little bit stronger than some of the content creators out there that everyone knows and loves. Mine's on the track to be a ventilator, like yourself. Mine's a little bit more progressed, but it's kind of plateaued. So I do have the terminal side of things, but I don't show any signs of being near that end yet, anyway. And here's still hoping that the medicines they keep coming out with have stayed that off for a while. But I'm pretty much quadriplegic. I like to say that I am a high level functioning disabled person, sort of like walking pneumonia, but it's with a trach on my arm like throat.
I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah, it's just interesting because if you have a ventilator, people think you're so fragile. It's like, no, not necessarily.
Well, and like that doesn't mean you're homebound either. That's a big thing.
Yeah. You have a ventilator. I guess you stay in your house all day. No, not necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
And Vicki?
So I have lupus, systemic lupus. I also have hypermobile EDS. I have a lot of back issues, degenerative disc disease, and osteoarthritis in the spine, migraines, kind of a slew of other stuff. I also suffer from like panic attacks and anxiety. So it's kind of more of a just a collection of random stuff. But it has caused a lot of various issues over the years. So one of the things that Steve and I really connected over, I don't know, was it 2 years ago or something like that? I had a feeding tube put in because I was having like my stomach just stopped tolerating food.
Your stomach was like, I quit.
It literally quit. It just
that's
I
always
know.
fun.
It was like over the course of a year, it just slowly lost the ability to tolerate food. And so I had a feeding tube put in, and again, we were sort of like just learning the our ability to connect to each other over our various ailments, I guess, and medical experience with the medical system and all that kind of stuff. But I was in the hospital and they had just put in a J tube, and I was having one of those moments where you're in the hospital and you're like, there's this new thing coming out of my body, and you're in pain and you're scared and you're like, my life is totally different and what's happening. And we were on the phone, and I think I was also kind of really high on pain meds at the time. And I was sort of like, because it was newly, and I just said like, Steve, there's a tube coming out of my stomach. And Steve, just kind of not missing a beat, was like, yep, there's a tube coming out of my throat. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just this moment of like, oh, we both have tubes. It's going to be okay. And it
so
really,
relatable.
It was so relatable. And it was just this like beautiful moment. And it's one of the like things that like sticks out. It's like one of these like critical moments in our relationship that like, just, oh, we both have tubes. It's going to be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like the ultimate check to make sure you're compatible, right? Like if you both have tubes, then
it's all good. We both have tubes. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
The only part that made that story better was later in that, unfortunately, from that point, she actually got a little bit worse. And we got kind of scared for a while there that we weren't gonna get her out of that situation. We did, fortunately. But she eventually had like some IVs and a tube, and like she was lamenting one evening about how she had three.
Oh yeah,
she had 3 tubes. She had to deal with
so many tubes.
and she's on the phone. She's there just like in a spiral, like a panic attack. Said, I can't believe I have all these tubes. And I just was like, all right, don't be trying to out disable him.
You're trying to out disable me. I'm like, well, I outnumber you in tubes now. So.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Yeah, outranking. Yeah.
Yeah, she outranked me.
Oh, man.
I had more tubes.
All right, calm down.
So you were able to get off of the feeding tube though, or is that something you're still using?
So I had the feeding tube for about a year.
Okay.
And various different types. It kind of, over the course of that year, had a lot of issues with it early on. And throughout the process, but then I got pneumonia, because that's a complication with, those feeding tubes. And I ended up with I was in the hospital for a long time. So we had some scary several months there. But then, slowly, through the help of the feeding tube, I was able to my stomach was able to recover, and my body was able to, recover to a degree. And, I was able to eventually get off the feeding tube. It's still an ongoing struggle, the stomach issues, but it's, I can eat things that I couldn't eat before, and that kind of thing. So it's chronic illness, right? So it's just an ongoing.
Yep. And the digestive thing is just, I don't know, it just feels like it's very common for, a lot of different conditions to go through at some point. And I was on a feeding tube for about 2 months, and after a gallbladder sepsis thing, and it was just like the worst, having to, take the liquid food or whatever, and I had a nurse forget to cap the input valve on it at one point, so I woke up soaked in that nasty.
It's always been interesting to me, especially knowing disabled people who are on feeding tubes or permanently. And it's interesting talking to people who were disabled but not at the feeding tube level, and then they went to it, and it's amazing how you don't realize how much of life revolves around food and drink. And I had a friend named Carol, and she was on the feeding tube, but she used to be just a paraplegic, and then things advanced, and she had to go there. She would always talk about how it was one thing when she had to deal with like a wheelchair setting, or like dealing with going to dinner at a table and moving chairs and whatnot. It was so different when people would be like, "Oh, do you want to go out to dinner?" It's like, no, I don't really. It's not interesting to me. And she would lament about that. Like, you get drinks, you get food. Yeah, everybody says, "Do you want to go to dinner? Do you want to get a lunch?"
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no one ever says, "Hey, do you want to go read a book?"
Or like go to the park or like a
Yeah.
library, something like that. You're right. You're right.
Right.
And that's got to be, I mean, I remember it being so hard. I would have family eating in the hospital room, and it would just be like, I was craving apple juice. Like that was the thing. It was strange because I never craved that.
Yeah.
And I went like on an apple juice binge for like a year after I got that.
It was cranberry juice for me, but I get it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you know a little bit of what that's like then.
Yeah.
She wanted cranberry juice, but she also wanted a crunchy supreme taco.
Well, I used to have
Ooh,
dreams about
yeah.
it. Yeah, when my stomach stopped being
Oh,
able
you
to
had
tolerate,
dreams about it.
all I wanted was a taco supreme or a what is it? Crunch Wrap Supreme. Crunch Wrap Supreme. All I wanted was a Taco Bell. I'm like, I never cared about Taco Bell before, but it's all I wanted. And it's like I would have dreams about Crunch Wrap Supremes and like stuffed and what was it? Stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. I'm like, I never wanted it before, but suddenly it's all I wanted. And so the first time I had a Crunch Wrap Supreme, like after I had, it was like I cried. I cried.
That's how I was at Starbucks. Like I got a coffee for the first time, like after, and I was just like if I just die right now, I'm happy because I got coffee.
Like if I die in this moment, it will. There is no higher point in life.
and nothing lower than having like nightmares of Crunch Wrap Supremes. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you made it through though, like that. And I mean, to recover to the point that you have is really great. I would imagine to be able to do some of the things you did before.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to eat things that I couldn't eat before has been really amazing.
And also some really silly promises that we made to each other. Like a lot of ways I was getting her through those hospital nights was being like, we will eat pizza together. It will happen. Like, and I just kept reassuring her like every night for almost a month. Like, we're gonna get that pizza. Don't worry. And then when we finally did eat pizza together, it was so like
it was like magical. It is such a basic thing, but it was just
everyone else is probably like, why are those two crying over pizza?
Right. I was gonna say though, like when in the disability community like that, the littler things are a big deal. I mean, like that means everything to be able to do the tiniest stuff. I mean, you just look at it like, why is that an issue? Why is that a big deal? But it is when you get it taken away, And actually, I wanted to touch on something too with both of you there too. Like, there's so many in the relationship world, right, that are like, don't think that it can happen between people, especially when you have severe disabilities. But like for me, what you were highlighting right there is like, none of that's physical, right? Like the reassurance, the helping to calm anxieties, get through these, issues with hospitals or whatever. It's like, I mean, that's such a more important, deeper thing that you provide than just being able to walk or hug or whatever it might be, the same as normal, quote unquote. But yeah, like if you want to talk just a little bit about like what that connection has been just in general for you both, having those things to share.
Yeah, I feel like when you're dating with a disability, I feel like it's like adding another rung to the jungle gym. Like you have to, everyone that I encountered who is an able-bodied friend, I don't know about you or anyone out there listening, has always like had this weird, like your able-bodied friends are like, yeah, you just need to find a disabled person. It's like, okay, well, logistically that doesn't work. So you can't go down that road, and you're not just out there only surfing for disabled people, and you're not only looking for able-bodied people. You have to find someone who fits your like personality, but also fits, as they say, love is not enough, and it is unfortunately true. It's not. You have to have someone who's willing, someone who loves you, someone who is willing to care for you. It has to, if I fall in love with someone who is bound to a wheelchair, I could still love them and have a relationship, but it would be massively different than what I have with Vicky. So you do have to consider all those things. And it to me always pained me when people would try to box that in or limit or what you could do or what you could have. And that was a lot of why we went from. I come from the world of content creation. I've been a content creator for 2 decades. Vicky has not been in content creation.
So you were way more advanced than I am then.
I've been on a lot of things over the years, but my area of fame has always been in the gaming circuit and in that entertainment world. And we just kept talking about exactly what you said about how this connection that we have is something special that a lot of people think they can't have and think it's impossible to have. And I don't think either one of us has ever said it was easy to find.
Right.
but it took some effort, but you can find someone out there who will fit like a puzzle piece into your life. You just have to be open to what that puzzle piece might look like.
Right.
Yeah, and I think, and I know that we like talked about it in a video, but the sort of misconception over caregiving and relationships and things like that, like that emotional piece, the ways in which he supported me through my various like medical crises, or I get panic attacks and he is like my primary support person throughout, through and so like those things are so critical to my functioning, I mean, so he is a caregiver for me in many ways, and was before we even met, like even when we were, just friends and kind of getting closer. And so obviously like when, like I think the ways in which I caregive for you in our relationship, are more physical. I mean,
Right.
I'm obviously there's emotional support on both sides, but we take care of each other. It's in different ways, but we do.
Well, and I mean, like that's almost like a piece of the relationship that lets you go a little deeper. I feel like, I mean,
Yeah.
something about that level of care that you're both providing. I mean, like right away, I think it just gets past a lot of the, I don't know, petty issues or like things that might happen. Like right away, you're like, well, this is critical stuff that we're doing here, and you're relying on each other in a way that's, I mean, it's life-threatening in some ways. So, I mean, it's if you develop a connection and find somebody like that, I think that's just, such a much deeper like relatability than what a lot of people get with, kind of the standard relationships people talk about. So, I mean, that's just really, I think it's cool that you just kind of develop that and it just
Yeah.
happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I like that, like, there's not a one size fits all dating plan with a disability. Like, you don't have to date somebody that's, like disabled or not, or different disability. I mean, it really doesn't matter if it fits for, I mean, for you. And I think people always try to like, you know, I guess put it into a mold or something of what it has to be. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't look like that.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
People give up really easy on stuff like that.
And
And I know
I mean,
when I
I'll raise
say,
my hand on that one too. Like it's happened to a lot of us.
Mhm.
yeah, it has. And I don't say give up easy even in the traditional sense. It's like, you can put a lot of effort out there, but if you get beat down enough, you'll just be like, all right, well, I quit. And that pains me. I think what pains me more is the people who never tried.
Mm.
I'm gonna make an assumption that you're like me here, that you have been on the Facebook groups and you've been in those communities,
I've
and
been to a speed dating event
yeah, there you go.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
once, never again. Never,
Never
Oh,
ever
again.
again.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's oh man. Yeah, it was the most awkward, like ableist thing ever.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure.
and it was like at this brewery, they took us into the back warehouse, and I was like, is this where they kill us? Like, is this part
oh
of
my God.
is this like true crime like developing here? But
Oh
no,
boy.
it's yeah, I've tried the list of stuff. Yeah.
And some of those groups
Yeah.
too, where people will all see that, they're posting on there that they are 25, 35, 40, and that they've never kissed anybody or anything like that. And a lot of times when I talk to people like that, they'll talk about how they just, never wanted to burden someone, or they never wanted to impose on someone, or just they felt like everyone was
Mm.
going to reject them.
Yeah,
And I feel like we do have to deal with those things. We do have to deal with a higher percentage of people who will, swipe away.
right.
That doesn't mean that everybody will. And so, but
So what's your take like on the different platforms available, right? Because you do have the swipe culture stuff, but you also have like forums or I mean Reddit, Facebook, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
do they all like have they all been good and bad? Has one worked better than the other for both of you? Want to talk a little bit about that?
Hmm.
Yeah, I did eHarmony for a long time, and
The
I
OG.
yeah, I did eHarmony, and I felt like, as far as being a platform, that it worked. I obviously got what I would consider a lower response
Mm,
rate,
mhm.
because of the wheelchair. But I felt like it did work, and I did get some dates out of it, and they did not work. They, obviously,
Yeah.
but for me, and again, maybe this is my brain, maybe this is copium, I don't know, but it's I felt like if I got the date, then I won. I felt like if I got the yes, and I got the, well, let's go on a date, then that was
Mhm.
a victory. From that point on, it was figuring out, are we compatible? And it was okay if we weren't compatible, right?
But you got
So
the opportunity.
exactly, got the opportunity, got to explore, got to try, and just wasn't finding the right person for me. But I also had a strange for a lot of people that we have been counseling on how to sort of find your own way in this
Mhm.
love in this world is some people just are like, oh well, do you just go with the first person that comes along? And my advice is always, yes, you can, but I don't advise it. I mean, I was lonely. I wanted to be in a relationship.
Mhm.
Vicky loves, giggling at me because I am just an absolute true romantic.
Hopeless romantic. Hopeless romantic.
Oh, that's a
love
good thing, I think.
Yeah.
I love the idea of love
Yeah.
since I was very
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
And so I've loved it. But that said, a couple of times in my life, I have found people who were absolutely interested in being with me, wanted to accept the whole thing, and
Mhm.
I just wasn't feeling it. And I
Mm.
just, I don't think it's fair to you to devote your life to me and love me, but I think you're weird or I'm not interested in that
Well, that's
way.
a good point.
I don't, and I think people kind of, in my experience in our community, a lot of people just be like, "Oh, I'll just take the first raft that comes along,"
Because
but I
like the
don't think that's fair.
desperation thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
no, it's not fair.
Well, you hit on a big assumption there too, because it does have to be both ways. I mean, it's got to be a reciprocal type of interest there, and like just because you have a more severe physical disability doesn't mean that you just have to accept everything. I mean, that makes total sense. And I can see where people, just be like, hey, just just accept it, and be good with it. But that's a
Exactly.
valid point. And not many people have mentioned that I've seen. So yeah,
No,
that's a good one.
and that's one of my favorite things to do in bringing content and creation to the internet is to talk about things that a lot of people are not. And one of the things that really hits home for me is how everyone assumes that the more disabled looking person just has to be happy with whatever life throws
Right.
their way. And I don't think that's a fair assumption for anybody. I don't think it's fair even to the person who is able-bodied, who's willing to
Mhm.
do it. Why would you want to be with me and devoted to our cause if I'm not that into you? That's not fair.
Right.
That's me using you. I'm not down for that. So I think you should love needs to be a two-way street.
Mhm.
And actually, Vicky, well, early on in our relationship, but when we were just friends and talking, as a couple of people about the world, had said, what was the exact quote he said? Was something to the effect of, "I'm looking to love someone who I want to be loved by." And that sort of two-way street, that was big, I think, seeing your personality too.
Right. Yeah. And I think something that was always like so attractive to me about Steve was that like he was pretty open and honest about like relationships that didn't go well in the past and ways in which he was not treated well by
Not always.
by significant others. I mean, some yes. There were some that were great and ended, and then there were some that were very, very bad. And he was pretty honest. I mean, he's always been very pretty open and honest about those experiences, which I appreciated. But I also thought it was so lovely how he sort of just never gave up hope. Like it was always just this like, nope, I love love. I believe it's out there. I believe it's a thing. And I
They're going
mean,
to keep investing in trying to find
yeah,
it.
and I
Yeah.
mean he was hurt over and over, and sometimes like I didn't know it in the moment. I didn't find out until we got closer. But I think it's such a beautiful thing about Steve is that he really just is a hopeless romantic. He really,
And
really is.
Yeah, I thought to myself, I'm not vulnerable enough. I should also be.
You know what? I should also be emotionally
Yeah,
vulnerable.
very
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's not
very smart.
enough that I'm
Very
yeah,
smart. But
yeah.
physically super vulnerable. Yeah.
Well,
Just
honestly,
put
like
it on my
it's
sleeve.
almost traumatic in a way, though. I mean, to go through that over and over, and I mean, obviously, breakups and things happen with non-disabled people, but I just feel like even me looking back at kind of the list of the things that didn't work out, it's like,
yeah,
I mean, it is in a way traumatic in its own way, I think. But like Steve, like, how have you managed to? I know you haven't given up, obviously, you just keep trying, but like when you hit the darker moments where maybe you did want to, just like kind of call it quits on that front, like what brought you back? Just
I think that if you're in a life where you have a disability or an external force trying to keep you down, I think the best thing in the world you can do is develop resiliency. I think it's a skill that can be trained like any other. I think that you can train yourself to get back up.
yeah,
Regardless of your feelings on Sylvester Stallone himself as a person, his character Rocky, giving the speeches about it's not how hard life hits you, it's about how many times can you get back up. And I feel like I kind of took that on as a young
yeah,
person. And I found myself latching on to the Hollywood movies that
mhm,
would have those kind of messages. Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic talking about how you have to deal with the hand that life gives you, and you don't get to choose your own hand. You just play what was dealt to you. Or
it's good.
talking about Fast and the Furious. There's a scene with character Han when he runs away in Tokyo Drift, saying, it's who you choose to be around you who tells you who you really are. And I latched on to these phrases and these things that got into my
Nice.
brain. Yeah, of like you can choose what to do with what's given to you. Like it's up to you to take what you got. So if I got into a relationship and it didn't work out, then I would just be like, all right, well, what did I learn from this? And then take
Yeah,
those lessons, try to do it better next time.
yeah. And I did want to let you talk about your dating experience too, Vicky. Like on like before Steve, like you were past with dating and stuff. Like what did it look like on your side?
So I'm divorced and I actually got married like fairly young. And so, like it didn't work out. Like it was amicable, but it didn't work out. And I was actually terrified about the idea of dating again, because I don't know if you've heard about, but these apps are terrifying. Like I mean, I really like, I have friends who are on these apps and they'll like send me screenshots and photos of the stuff that like they're, and I'm like, I would just give up. Like I would absolutely give up. And so like, I cannot imagine, like, it's not even a thing I want to touch with a 10-foot pole. It's not even in my
Yeah,
radar. So it was sort of this lovely, like serendipitous thing. Like, we had been friends for a long time and we had been working together. And so it just sort of naturally, like we got closer and, a relationship developed and it was entirely virtual because I live in
yeah.
Chicago and he's in Pittsburgh. So it was really all just cultivating this relationship.
So you're not into dudes in there take selfies in the bathroom mirror? No.
I am not, and I have seen way too many of my friends get bathroom mirror selfies or other. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it is absolutely. It's just the Wild West. I don't understand it, but it's just unbelievable.
And maybe it's since I've stopped subscriptions, like paying for it, it seems like it's gotten worse. I don't know.
I don't know
It's
what's going on, and it's very scary because I also see like the kinds of things that people say online, and it's just kind of the climate itself seems
yeah,
a lot. It's just a scary time. So I feel very fortunate that Steve and I sort of found each other and that this developed naturally when it did because yikes.
Yeah.
you
Like
got
I
to maybe
don't even
bypass some of that mess.
yeah, so I was
Yeah,
able to bypass a lot of that mess
yeah.
because yeah, thank goodness. And really like every time like we like to watch a lot of like natural disaster movies and like miniseries and true crime.
Well,
And
like day
it's
after
it's
tomorrow type thing, or
yeah,
Yeah.
or like, what are we watching right now? We're watching something on the Fukushima
Yeah.
disaster. So we like, that kind of thing, or like weather, natural disasters, volcanoes.
She
I'm really
loves
into
volcanoes.
volcanoes right now.
Loves volcanoes.
Yeah, but
She did propose we go on a romantic trip
I,
to a volcano. I wasn't sure. I was like, did you take out an insurance policy on me? What did you?
it's
oh
cool.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's cool. It's
If
like
I
it's
suddenly disappear, man, I'm telling you.
well, if Yellowstone goes, listen,
Well, I
if
was gonna say like it has to be drivable to get there, first of all.
if the super volcano at Yellowstone goes, we're all out anyway. So
I mean,
who
yeah,
cares if we're right there when
Fair
it
point.
happens?
Yeah.
at that point the whole world's like peace out there, I think. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
why not be right at the epicenter when I don't know. That's just my
yeah,
feeling on it. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, I think I feel very fortunate in that like we developed this connection because the more I see of the world, the more grateful I am of what we have.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so you mentioned you were friends before and then you worked together too. Like what when did you first become friends? Was that before you worked together? Or what is that
So
been
working
like?
together was like more recent. That was in the
Okay.
last few years. We started doing library programming with adaptive gaming, so assistive gaming. And so like I told him that I was looking to put together a program on using assistive gaming tech, and I was just asking him for help, and he just went like all in on it and was like, "Yes, let's do this." And it ended up being a really great thing. And then we realized that like public libraries in general were very interested in this idea, and so we presented together. The first time we actually met in person was when we presented at the American Library Association annual conference last year on the programming that we did together, and it was very fun. I mean, it ended up being like we just realized we work really well together and we were really passionate about it. And so that's something that we're like really cultivating moving forward. And we're, looking to do more work in that area. And we're going to be presenting again this year. So that was really neat. So that's been really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, we've been friends. I mean,
A long time. It's been since 2020.
5 years,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah. So
So COVID friendship.
Yeah. It's been a COVID friendship.
I
Yeah.
I found so like he just sort of showed up in my Twitter feed,
Okay.
essentially mainly because I think I followed a lot of like, because I was looking, into, collaborating more with like accessibility in my public library that I was working at the time. And so I think he just showed up in my feed. I didn't follow him, but you just kind of popped in there. And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, this person's interesting. And then it was like you were streaming on Twitch and you were posting about how you were streaming
Oh,
on Twitch
okay.
and raising money on
Yeah.
Twitch. So then I popped in because I'm like, I'm not on Twitch that much, but I watch Critical Role. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just pop in, and then I sort of started watching him on Twitch. And then joined his community, and
Yeah.
then it was just sort of a slow burn of,
Yeah.
we
Well,
developed.
so neither of you slid into the DMs or anything like that. You like interacted differently.
It was very slow. It was very
Yeah.
slow. It wasn't, yeah. I mean, it was like, I think very slow over time, like
Yeah.
messages here and there,
Yeah.
we just sort of slowly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, we met through my Twitch streaming.
Mhm.
I used to work for a video game charity, and so I did a lot of things in the public eye promoting you can still play games if you're disabled. You don't have to stay out of this hobby.
Mhm.
It's and then fighting the industry itself to make it more accessible. And so
Mhm.
because of that, I was out there a lot, and when the pandemic came down, um, I had been talking to my colleagues and decided, well, my 40th birthday is coming up. We're about to be under severe lockdown, so it's not like I can go skydiving or anything, for my 40th like you're supposed to. So
Yeah.
what if I just try to do
Skydive over a volcano,
not
maybe.
a volcano, skydive into the volcano? Yeah,
That's an
yeah,
idea
yeah. There you go. I mean, if you're gonna go
for
out,
50.
50.
Yeah.
Can't
Hey,
wait.
there you
Couple years.
Planning
Couple
now.
years. Planning it now.
We're a good
Yep.
brainstorming
Yeah.
team,
Mhm.
honestly.
Yeah,
Got all the ideas.
that's right.
That's sounding pretty fun to me.
Does.
It does sound fun.
Well, I decided if I wasn't going to skydive into a volcano, then I would just try to raise $1 million for charity.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I did that, I enlisted pretty much every high-end person that I had made contact with, put out this video basically saying, hey, I don't have any idea if I'm going to make it through this, weird thing that we're all going through. But hey, every one of you understands now better what social isolation is. You're all trapped in your houses, and that's pretty much a reality for a lot of disabled people. If you
Well, it
want to
leveled
help
the
make
playing
it,
field in a way.
yeah, it is a level feeling for us.
Mhm.
Yeah. And if you want to, help out and make sure that when this is over, this charity I've been working with keeps going, contribute to this $1 million goal. And it took me about 7 months, but I hit the goal. And along the way,
Wow,
yeah, thank
Mhm.
you.
that's really great.
It was cool.
It was a fun time. I was glad that we could help out a lot of people. Um, but the biggest prize for me was out of it. I didn't realize it yet, but it's why I got Vicky's attention, and she was following me. And she was just another viewer for a long time. She would send me random messages like, "Hey, I was talking to someone at C2E2, and they mentioned you, and that was really cool." And I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Wow, okay, that's cool." And like, it'd be another 8 months before I'd hear from her again. Because
Yeah.
when you're a content creator, like you don't there's this weird like shield of like people feel like they're bothering you, so they don't want to message you, but also you don't want to encourage everybody and their grandma to message you constantly. So it's
Right.
weird, right? So it's like you gotta weed out the people who are trying to be friends with you versus
And
the people who want
time,
to use you. Yeah.
it's like a weird time warp thing too, I feel like time moves very different in, the follower, like content
Yes.
creator world.
Yep, and figuring
Yeah.
out who's following you, who actually wants to be friends with you, and yeah, who's
Yeah.
using who, and so your guards are up, and all this, and
Right.
so she was a community member. She talked in chat here and there,
Mhm.
um, but then we we had she had come into chat one day.
Why are you telling this story?
I'm about to get slapped on the shoulder for this, but it's hilarious.
Wait, has this been told before? Is this a
It,
new story?
on stream.
It's been told on stream.
Okay.
Like,
A tie exclusive. So,
I was gonna say.
tie exclusive.
oh my God.
So tune
I
into
can't believe you're
tune
telling this
into the
story.
tie-dye podcast, please. Exclusive. So, so she comes into chat one day and she doesn't type a whole lot. She types like hello and like a hi.
I'm pretty shy. I don't
Pretty
like to
shy.
draw attention to
Yeah.
myself, believe it or not. Like it's not, so I don't really
Wasn't really her thing.
talk
She
a
was very
ton.
shy, and so
I just lurk,
this one day I'm playing video games and she's talking more in chat than I'm used to her seeing. So I know something is different, something's up. And she happens to mention about that she's in the hospital. And the same as you do if you're a streamer and someone mentions, that someone in your community is like, oh no, are you okay? What's going on? You do the normal, but it's out loud in front of 100 people. So it's not like you're getting intimate details. You're just like, are you okay? And she's saying, yeah, I'm okay. Just, was tuning in, hanging out. Hope everyone's okay. And everyone's doing the, oh my God, Dove, I hope you're okay, yada, yada. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing fine.
I feel like I disappeared for a short amount of
She
time
disappeared for like 20, 30 minutes.
and then came
She
back.
came back and she's like, well, that was interesting. And I kind of stopped my gaming and I'm just like pausing, talking out loud to her, as you do when someone says something interesting on stream. And I was like, what? And she goes into this story of how she was watching our stream and just,
It was dark. It was like bedtime. It was like
in her
he
room.
streams at night. The lights are off in the hospital room, like
She's
it's
on her
nighttime.
phone.
They
She's
expect
looking-
you to be asleep.
She's
I'm
looking
sure.
at her phone in
And
her
I'm just
bed,
like on my phone in bed in the
like
dark.
halfway under cover.
Right, halfway under the
she's a
covers.
burrower.
It's the hospital.
Yeah, she likes to go underneath covers and burrow. She's doing this with a phone. And so a nurse walks into the room and she tosses her phone.
I
She's
just freak
typing.
out like I'm gonna get in trouble. And I threw my phone across the room. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I thought I was going to get in trouble. I'm a grown adult just watching, a gaming stream. But I freak out. Yeah, throw my phone. Like,
she's typing in chat and she's going, I'm pretty sure this nurse thinks I was watching an adult movie.
I didn't
Oh
know.
my
I didn't
gosh.
think about it until I was like, she thought I was watching porn. I'm sure of it. Why else would I throw my phone like I'm about to get into trouble?
So I bust out laughing.
Because anybody using their phone in the dark is automatically watching an adult movie.
Of course they are. Of course they are. What else would I be doing in the middle of the night?
And so my chat immediately explodes with, "Oh yeah, she thinks you were.
You were, yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
She's got like 80 people chirping at her.
See, I mean, like
that nurse thinks she was. Yeah,
that's a foundational story for you guys there. I mean,
it is because he brings it up a lot. Yeah, so it's
hilarious.
Well, now it's recorded too, so you have that to look forward to.
Thank you for that, Steve.
It's going to be internet immortality now.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It'll clear my name with the nurse,
True. That's true. Yeah, like the secret stories of Vicky's hospitalization.
Yep. She's been telling this story at parties, so now she'll stop.
Okay, so to be honest with you, I sometimes think the nurses actually do tell funny stories about us. I don't know.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So this is a weird story. With my feeding tube, so I had a J tube, which it did not go well for me. It like, if you know anything about a J tube, so the J tube is like when your stomach can't tolerate the food, so they put in this J tube which bypasses your stomach to send the nutrition to your small intestine. So it's just like a smaller, longer tube inside of the tube that goes into your stomach that like extends. I don't know if I'm explaining this well.
Close enough.
Okay. Anyway. So you've got this like much longer tube that is supposed to go to your small intestine, but mine never stayed in place. It just kept like pulling back and coiling up in my stomach. And so like everything was going into my stomach. And then what would happen is it would get knotted in there. And I would have to it would get clogged. I couldn't use it. I'd have to get an appointment in emergency to interventional radiology. They would have to pull it out and put in a new one. And this would happen repeatedly. And finally, like I saw a specialist and he's like, I think we're at the point where we can just put in a G tube, and actually we're going to put in a G tube button and it's going to be little.
The Mickey button.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is so swanky. I was so excited about this Mickey button. I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I've never seen, And so I had been fitted for it and whatever, and it came in, and I was like 3 days away from getting the Mickey button put in. And I mean, it was like midnight and I was fine. And then I suddenly got nauseous and I threw up, and this is really gross. Should I tell the story?
You already are.
I already did. This is gross. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Well, you'll be canceled after
I'm going to be canceled after this. I actually threw up my feeding tube. The J tube had gotten stuck in my stomach. Yeah. So it was stuck in my esophagus. My J tube stuck in my esophagus. And so I obviously had to go to the ER because I was essentially choking on my J tube.
But before she does, she literally is talking to me in Discord.
Oh yeah, it was like
she was like, I gotta pee, be right back. She comes back, she's like, so small problem. My G tube's in my hand.
Don't freak out. I have to go to the ER.
Yeah.
my J tube
I
came
was like,
out
what the?
of like it was body horror, like it was out of a horror movie. It genuinely was out of a horror movie. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't swallow it
Yeah.
back down. It was just
Oh, yeah. I don't think you would want to do
No.
that.
it was like the most
Wow.
terrifying, gross, horrendous thing. And you're like, oh my God, call 911. Like
And it's all happening on Discord.
right, we're just chatting, and I'm literally like, I think it's fine. Like, and I'm like and I'm literally gagging, choking on this tube.
Oh,
No. Call
No, so
911.
I had to call 911, go to the emergency room. Um, and I will never forget because like initially, like it kind of moved back down. So it was, initially it was like out of my mouth, but like
mhm.
it had moved to sort of like here. I could feel it here. But when they looked in, they couldn't see it. So they were like, all right, we've got to get an x-ray. And they're like, are you sure? Like a J tube wouldn't come up here. I've like never, like that doesn't happen. And the doctors are like doubting what I'm saying. And I'm like, listen to
Don't you
me.
love that?
I'm like, I held it in my hand. Let me tell you again. I held it. I'm like, I'm not losing my mind. But they're like, well, but it just doesn't seem plausible. And so they come in with the x-ray machine and they do the x-ray. The doctor goes back out in the hall. And then he comes back in and he's like, yeah, it is
Yeah.
exactly where you said it was. I have
Shocker, you
never
know what's going on.
Right?
in my
Yeah.
30 years of practice, never have I seen this. And every doctor I talked to was like, I have never in my life. And then I hear the ER doctor like walk across the other side of the like hallway and like
Mhm.
on the phone with someone else. And he's just like, yeah, no, her J tube it's in her esophagus. She threw it up.
Let me just go through
I
my contact list and call everybody and tell
I
them.
know. I was
But
like, I am happy to give you a story to tell at parties, man. I
hey,
really am. Just get it out.
you're like
If
a
you could just
rare
get it out.
specimen, like they're doing research or something in the field, and they're like, look at this.
Like this is wild, right? He literally said, "This is wild," right? Like on the phone talking about, and I'm like, listen, I'm happy to give you a story. Just get it
Just
out of me.
fix
Get it
it. Just
out.
fix
Please
Fix
just
the
get it
issue.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. So yes, I know I'm
You as
sure
a
It's,
disabled person were telling the truth to a doctor. How
I
weird.
I
I'm sure that
know.
people have been talking about that at parties and
Because
I'm,
we just
listen,
we never say anything truthful
No.
about what we're feeling on
No.
that.
No.
Yeah.
no,
Disabled people make up shit to their doctors all the
Yeah.
time.
all the
Yeah.
time, all the
Now I'm just
time.
like envisioning, like, can you just do a Twitch live stream of like just the regular like hospital visits that we go
No.
through that are
Yeah.
like, no, like I've had a doctor tell me I've never seen a ventilator hooked up to a trach before. And I'm just like, well, first of all, thanks for telling me that. Cause like, thanks for making me feel like a freak. But
No,
but
right.
it's
Oh
Right.
I'm
my
just like,
God.
how is that not a normal thing if you're in pulmonology? But that's another story. But
This is a pulmonologist?
yes.
Wow.
And I'm
Did you
just
find
so
them
I'll just
Cracker
put it
Jack
this way.
box?
I'm in a different state with a different medical team now. So I'll just leave it there.
Oh
But
my
Man,
gosh.
I don't think
yeah,
you go back to that one. No.
That's
no.
terrifying.
And I have like this amazingly like it must be an immortal peg tube because I've had it since 21 and I'm still using it to deliver like meds and stuff. And they
Oh,
were going to remove it by essentially just ripping it out of my stomach was their approach. And I thought I was going to get the Mickey button. And I come to find out they put the G tube in that's not, you can't just remove it that way. You have to actually go invasive and completely change it. And I'm like, these things they don't think they're going to run like wear out. You're not going to have to replace
Yeah.
it somehow. So like I was all excited for the Mickey button thing too, and I still haven't gotten to get one yet. So
why would they put in the like they do have to change these? Like,
I I don't know why they would want to do it invasively every time, but I don't know. I don't
Well, I
know.
mean,
I
also they
was
gotta pay for their Ferrari, man. I mean,
well, I know, and the conversion package that we're gonna have to get on it too. So
exactly. Yeah, the street racer package ain't cheap, buddy. You know.
I know,
So,
I know. Yeah,
oh,
but it's those horror stories, they just like show up everywhere.
they do.
But I'll put a disclaimer before that one though, just in case anybody gets, triggered by the yeah, you're
Oh,
throwing
we
up
do.
your
Yeah.
we
It was full body horror.
we literally are only into our like 7th week of doing relationship videos, and we've already been hit by YouTube telling us that we were talking
You're
about
Oh
kidding
yeah.
me.
too depressing of a subject, and that
Serious.
it was being
Too
yeah,
depressing.
Too depressing.
yeah.
Because the subject was caregiving.
What?
And they
And,
took issue, well, initially they said they took issue with the fact that we talked about suctioning.
well, we talked about suctioning, and I have a video editor who will like do sort of fourth wall, like little snippets, like, and he
Yeah.
showed like a little 3D model of a patient being suctioned because I'm not going to do that on camera.
Right.
And so it was like just an educational, here's what suctioning is at a very low level, like not talking about, the gross sides of it. Just, yeah, it gives you air back when you can't clear your throat like a normal person can, quote unquote. And it's like,
And
very
that got
not
flagged.
yeah, and YouTube limited
Very
it,
basic.
very limited it, and it literally when we reached out, they were like, "Yeah, during this segment, you talked about some things that could be disturbing to some viewers, so we're
See,
gonna."
I'm sitting here thinking you're about to mention the thing about the asking if the junk was working.
No,
Like,
they didn't care about
They didn't
that.
care about that.
Not
Yeah,
it.
no, that they
Not
were
it.
all in on that one.
Yeah,
That
okay,
was
I'm like,
that's fine.
I'm
That one got
lost.
like no, that one got
they had
like
no
no,
problems
that
with
one
that.
got
That's
like
probably the biggest
yeah,
video.
that's got like 80,000 views.
Yeah.
Like
See, that shows their priority, right? Like the
it does.
clicks.
100%.
Yeah.
But then they like we removed that segment because
Mhm.
they were upset about it. So we literally completely glossed over the whole suctioning thing. And then they came back saying, well, the overall tone. It's like so it was like we removed what they asked us to remove, and then they said like, well, it was just
But
overall.
you have the wrong tone.
Yes, because
Basically,
we were
we
just
were
talking.
talking
I
about
cannot
our
believe this.
lives are difficult and how we have to care for each other. And actually, some of the same questions that you were asking just a few minutes ago
Yeah.
about, how do you care for each other? And we were explaining that, and YouTube's like, yeah, that's distressing. So we're not gonna show that.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope they don't
It's
flag
really
this
stressing.
episode when I upload it.
Yeah.
If you get limited too, then YouTube just hates
I
people who are
guess
caring
so.
for each other.
I guess we're just supposed to be happy all the time. Like,
And we are.
We
Yeah.
are.
Yep.
that's the
Yeah.
stereotype anyway, right? So YouTube
Honestly,
might
it
as
was the
well.
most women demeaning thing me as a man has ever received. Where I felt like when like a chauvinistic guy will be like, "You just need to smile more." I felt like that's what YouTube was telling us. It's just, could you just be happier about your
YouTube
death
is
sentence?
haunting us now. This is not good.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's terrible.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that I do appreciate you guys sharing the Twitch and the Discord thing, like too. That's a untapped resource that I haven't looked into. So maybe that's the true place to meet people, I guess. But I will say that Instagram, I had really good luck there because it was like bonding over something besides dating. Like
Yeah.
that the intent is not that always. I guess it can be, but I just found that the connections were more authentic when you bond over something like you guys with the gaming or like I mean there's just to me that shows a lot more, I don't know, compatibility.
I
Yeah.
think it's a matter of looking for different things as well. So I wish that I could tell people there was a mold to find love. Like, you go to this website, you pay $9 a month, and you're
Where do
gonna
I
find
sign up? Tell me right now.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Give me the affiliate sale right now. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, and I hate
Mhm.
being that cliche of when you're not looking for it, it finds you. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, I'm finding in life that it is kind of more true than not.
Mhm.
For example, Vicky is not a big gamer. She doesn't love playing video games. She finds them a little stressful sometimes, but she likes
Some of them
being
are.
in it. Yeah, some of them are, but she likes being in a community. So she wasn't there for the gaming. She was there for the community, the people gathering
Yeah.
and the fun, nice people to be around. And then, find someone that she eventually starts feeling more than friends about. And it seemed to me like all the relationships I know of is, disabled person was on a podcast and the other person watched them through that, or they were
Yep.
doing an interview, or they were out at a sporting event or a bar, and they're just like, that person seems cool. They made me laugh, and then it just
Yeah.
clicks.
Just a spontaneous thing that just randomly happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the fact that you put yourself out there, like
True.
you put yourself out there, he's very authentic. And I think like for me, something that I really value was like empathy, like just very clear, and he demonstrates empathy in every interaction that he has. And I thought that was really surprising because, I spend a decent amount of time on Twitch and I watch streamers and I'm like, they're not necessarily, they don't necessarily care about their community and the people that show up, and
Yeah.
he does. And I thought, I was like, oh yeah, he actually cares about the people who come in and he asks questions and
Yeah.
will stop, if somebody shares that something difficult happened, some streamers will completely gloss over it or say stop trauma dumping,
Right.
and Steve will stop and say, I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah.
Like he's a very empathetic person, and that's something that I really valued. And so seeing that, come across was definitely a drawing factor for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's huge. Like the empathy factor, I think it's missing from way too many people now, and I think in the disability community, it's not always that way. It seems like there is, I won't say always, but there's a higher percentage of people I think that are empathetic in that
Yeah.
area, especially when they have more severe things, it seems like. But I'm curious, Steve, like when you talk through issues people are having or visit with them or help them through something traumatic, like do you find yourself taking on any of that weight or pressure? Like, does it affect your mental health in any way, or do you look at it differently?
It's always been I wanted to be a psychologist when I was young. I actually decided not to go there because I decided that in my 20s that anybody who would come see me as a psychologist would be put off by, having to stop to do a suctioning or having to stop because, I was having a bad day or whatnot. And back then I wasn't having a lot of bad days, but they were here and there and I knew it could be a
Yeah.
problem. So I decided, all right, I'm not going to do this. And then I ended up just falling backwards into advocacy where I was still doing it, except not getting paid nearly like a psychologist would. But yeah, fortunately, I don't need to anything but chicken nuggets to live. So my life is very, very
He
short.
does live on chicken
I
nuggets.
do.
Yeah.
Hey,
They're
Yeah.
good.
it's not bad.
Thank you.
Well, it
But
depends which nuggets though. Are you like
yeah,
partial to any kind
I,
of
I
nuggets?
I mean, chicken nuggets are the best. Dino nuggets are the best, obviously. Yeah. Listen, I'll be a fourth grader. I don't care. I love dino nuggets.
Hey, yeah, yeah, nuggets are like a main staple in my diet too.
I'm telling you, live your best nugget life, But I think like for me, it's been more of a slow decline in my mental health. So I noticed that if you go and you search who I was even before the days of Vicky, I am always a very loudmouth person on social media. I will grab a sword and go yell at people to do the right thing and tell them that they need to incorporate disabled people into their communities, that they
Yeah,
stop being disrespectful. I will stand up for LGBT, trans rights. I hate bigots. If you're a
yeah,
racist, I'm going to come after you. I have always been that kind of person.
absolutely.
Yeah, and because of that, it makes me a bit of a lightning rod for some very interesting trolls. I've
Negative
had my
comments,
fair
yeah.
share of death threats and whatnot, and
Really?
oh yeah,
Wow,
oh yeah,
that's
I've been told that I would be easy to unalive because I can't get away.
He still gets them a lot. I mean,
Still,
like you had a post recently
whoa.
that got you
yeah.
just,
Do you mind sharing which one that?
I was a post
it's
that.
always so ridiculous. This wasn't even,
So my main thing online I love to talk about is how video games need to have the option for easy mode. You should have the ability to play a
what a
video
concept.
game the way that you can play it.
Yeah,
If it doesn't
curious.
affect other people, there's no reason that a video game can't have a mode that is easier for you. If someone doesn't want to use it, don't use it.
That seems like not something to get mad about.
It should not be a controversial statement, and yet I put this out recently on Twitter, and then I screenshot it, put it on Blue Sky and then Facebook, and on all three platforms got like over 1.5 million hits on
You're
every single
kidding
platform,
me.
and just
What is going on?
oh, and just multiple people being like, "I hope you die. Your woman looks like a skinwalker. She's not
Yeah, they
real."
went after me.
They
They
did,
were like,
yeah,
yeah, because they'll do like a deep dive. Some of
yeah,
these trolls are committed. They will like do a
They-
deep dive on his page, and anything
yeah.
else he posts, they'll start commenting on or like stealing from. It
So they'll
was
start like stalking you around the different
Yes, they will
platforms.
cyber stalk
it
you.
is wild
Yep.
Oh,
over
Yeah.
something like
wow.
that. Like, oh, video games should
All
be
because yeah,
accessible. Oh my God.
all because I want disabled people to be able to play video games. It is it is a horrible thing
And
that
I
I have
can't, and
since.
I'm like going through, and I actually have to stop myself because I get too upset. But I'm
Well, you
like
spiral. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
can't report tweets
Mm,
fast enough. Like it's just not possible because it's just it's
that is
horrible.
insane.
yeah. But to answer your question about taking it on, I think
Yeah.
individually I find myself being in the mentor role a lot where I do have, we have a group called the Quad Gods. They're quadriplegics who play video games with quad sticks in their mouth, and they actually had an HBO
Mhm.
documentary about them and everything done. But I've mentored some of them, through my place of work now at Mount Sinai. And it's great, I met a young man named Prentice who's been really an amazing person in my life, who's been asking questions about how to go to college and how to live life, and just,
Nice.
to the point where he's like, "Do you just have these things written out?" And I'm like, "No, man, it's all off the top of my head." Like, it's
Yeah.
just, trying to impart some of the wisdom that I've gone through. And I don't sort of take on what his troubles are. And that kind of advocacy never
Hmm.
gets me down. I'm always inspired by other people going through struggles. The only thing that gets me is eventually a trolls after troll after troll just has a psychological impact that it's sort of like a frog in boiling water. Like I really didn't realize it was doing to me. And it
Okay.
wasn't until I really started seeing a therapist, and the therapist is like, just unplug, just stop being on Twitter chronically, just do it in doses, and you'll
Take a
notice you
break.
feel better. Yeah, and I was like, well, I really can't. This is where I go to my office, and I got to be there, and I did, and I
Yeah.
started sort of coming back, ratcheting down, and not being there as much, and I felt so much better. So I think the answer to your question is yes and no. I think I'm good at shouldering other people's problems to help them.
Mhm.
But I think that if you tell me that I'm a horrible, ugly human person repeatedly, I can brush it off. But if enough people tell it to me enough, my brain does start to go, well, are they right though? So,
Well, because I mean, it happens so much, it just subconsciously sinks in, I think, too.
yeah.
So that's, I mean, so that was a very different direction than I was thinking because I was, thinking like me as someone who interviews, guests in the community with disabilities, they unload their issues and the problems they've dealt with, all those kind of things. Like I personally, I haven't had any trouble with that necessarily either. And people on the outside are like, how do you listen? How do you take all that? But what you're talking about is a totally different, I mean, like I can't imagine the toll that could take, when you just keep seeing it over and over again. Just, I mean, they're just rude, insulting comments that have no basis. I mean, that's,
They are. Yeah.
yeah. So, I
I
mean,
think the main difference between what you're doing with this podcast and with your career is you're trying to spotlight other disabled people individually and tell stories,
mm,
where I've been trying to sort of be a spotlight for the able-bodied world to pay attention to our community. And so the different face of that is that you get to see these really cool inspirational stories firsthand and then tell them to the world. And on my side of things, I deliberately go find the darkest corners of the internet and shine flashlight and things
you're
scurry
you're
around.
fighting the harder battle
Yeah.
there.
I don't think I'm fighting the harder battle. I
I
think
don't
your harder
know.
battle is cooler.
Yeah.
I love hearing people's stories, but
Yeah.
it's for me, trying to go out there and tell people to do the right thing. Man, even
Yeah.
some other disabled people get really mad about it.
Oh
Just,
yeah.
you're not advocating the right
That's
way. You're not
something that
doing this the right way.
I've noticed that too. Like the less severe the disability is, the more ableism, which I guess that makes sense, the more ableism they have in a lot of cases. And I'm just like, I've been noticing more and more that the bickering that goes on between, you know, people in the community is just it's ridiculous. I'm kind of shocked to see, how much that's going on because you're thinking that it's the non-disabled people that are the problem, but there's some, with disabilities that are also contributing to making things harder for
Yeah.
everybody. So,
And not everybody is at the same point with accepting
yeah,
who they are either.
fair. That's
I,
true.
I have people in my life who are disabled, who have been diagnosed disabled, but they are not at the point where they are calling themselves disabled. And if you
Mm,
call them disabled, it upsets them.
right.
And it is hard because it's like, well, you've been diagnosed with XYZ. You are disabled technically, even if you're not showing it yet.
Hmm.
Well, I'm not disabled. I don't identify that way. All right. Well, sorry. And try
Yep.
to be respectful,
Yep.
but it's also kind of hard when they're like, don't talk about us like that. Only you're disabled. Okay.
Right.
All
And
right.
I mean, like
All
the
right.
time of diagnosis is also, I mean, I get that that's a problem, right? Like if you're in your 20s, 30s, and all of a sudden this thing happens, it's much harder to accept that. And it
Yeah.
takes longer than, with like MD or SMA, like we're growing up, we're used to adapting and it's not such a bad thing. We just do it. So I get that, in some ways you got to give some grace to that side, but at the same time, it's like, well, you still could be a decent person, or, you don't have to necessarily take offense to something as personally as many people do. But, you know, there's,
Especially in the advocacy world,
yeah.
what has always boggled my mind is people who feel like that quote, there's only so many Cheerios in the bowl. I don't feel like that at all. I
Mm,
think that you can have a bunch of advocates. I think that everybody can be pushing for a better world. We can all
yeah.
do it in different lanes. I don't have the time to advocate for airplanes to accept disability in wheelchairs,
Mhm.
but I'm sure glad that somebody is out there doing that because
That is a
maybe
good
in my
point.
life, I don't have time to be everywhere and do everything. Nobody
Well,
does.
like none of us can fight every battle,
No.
so that's you got to pick the kind of the niche area that you're in and,
Yeah,
Right.
fight that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if we all work together, that's kind of my, rose-colored glasses, Pollyanna view on the world is
Yeah.
if all of us advocates could just pick our battle and fight, and then we
Yeah.
fight together, we could really make change if we just don't argue with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, to be honest, like that's just society in general. I think like if there was less of that, people love to take a stand and make it black and white and get in a fight about something. And, it's just social media has enabled that more, I think.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
you're right. Like, like there are like keep, doing as much as you can and changing what you can change. And
Yeah.
I
There
mean,
is,
like
and
that's
I do wish in general our community would. Somebody once told me it's the crab pot problem. Like we're all trying to get out of the pot, so we kind of grab the one in front of us and pull it back, and
oh,
that's
okay.
Mhm.
that.
That analogy kind of works actually.
It kind
It's
of
a
Yeah.
good one.
does, kind of does, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Do you think
it
it can, I mean, get to a point where it is better? I mean, or
I
is it
like to
always take a fight, I guess, probably.
I like to think that I like to think that we're all beginning to adapt and beginning to learn how
Yeah.
to. I think it used to be a world where there was only one seat at the table for a disabled person, and so we had to fight with each other for who got to sit there.
Yeah.
And I think that now there's more and more seats opening.
It's
And I think
true.
that is lessening the pressure on that crab pot problem. I think that there needs to be, and so I always laugh because someone will come into my chat and they'll be like, "Oh, do you know so and so?" And I'd be like, "Well, that's really weird." You'd be like, "I know that disabled person." I mean, yes, I do know them, but also, yes, that's really weird. Don't do that.
Oh,
You know. So,
yeah. It's
because
like they
yeah,
could come at Vicky like, hey, Steve.
yeah.
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 Yep, and
Yeah.
that is unfortunately the way. Yeah, but our people who have
Yep.
got some fame are limited. Most of
Yep.
us do know about each other at the very limit least.
Or have spoken at some point. I mean,
Yep,
it's yeah, it is a smaller world with the
it
disability
is.
community, but
But I think that is always room for more.
yeah. Well,
There's a
because
lot more
every
advocates now than when I started.
exactly, and every story is different. I mean, like
Yep.
Mhm.
we can have almost the exact same diagnosis, and like both stories need to be shared. And in my opinion, I just think that the more the better on that front,
Agreed.
Absolutely.
and like obviously the visible and non-visible, like
Mhm.
that's another thing. I feel like it really people always look at like, oh, you have a handicap placard, but you can walk, or there's
Mhm.
always that judgment, ready to be cast, I think. So,
Yeah.
it's just like being open for all of it, not judging is the way I kind of view it. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
it's
had a
improving.
I was at a conference when I was younger that I was with my video game charity, and we were just doing our thing at the booth, and had a mom come up, and the mom came up to me having, done her research on who I was and my accolades and whatnot. And had said, basically like, "Hell, my God, like it's so nice to meet you. I have a son who has muscular dystrophy, and he just sits in his basement all day long, and he's just making music. He's doing nothing with his life. I can't stand it. He needs to get out there and do something like you did. Can you talk to him?" And I said, "Well, ma'am, you just said he sits in his basement all day making music. What's he doing with that music?" "Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
He just makes music and then he just shows it to his friends." I'm like, "Well, it sounds like he's doing what he wants to do. So
Right.
no, I'm not going to tell him that's a waste. Sorry, I think he's already found his calling." And she's like, "Well, it's a stupid one. I don't, that's not." Now, and I'm just like, "Ma'am, like, no, you have to choose your own road in life." Like, and so I
Yeah.
think about that a lot, in relation to even my relationship with Vicky. I was hardcore into gaming and helping to make the gaming universe more accessible. And I did my time, I did my tour of duty. It's not that I'm still not there, but she's like, well, libraries are really cool and they do cool things nowadays. It's not just books. She has like an entire lending library where they like give out Roku's and
And see, like
Fire TVs. It's
Mhm.
that's
cool.
like a whole nother episode, I think. Like I was gonna ask more about like the whole library side of things and bringing that back into the fold and stuff too. But
Yeah.
that is really cool to know that, that I know that was kind of a tangent, but yeah, it's cool to see that coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was not something I ever, until I met you, imagined I'd be into. And now, she really opened my eyes to how disabled people, if you're poor, you might not have access to a $150 controller, but a library does.
Well, and the
Exactly.
importance of like libraries are community hubs, and we can help make connections for people, and that's our job. That is the
Mhm.
job. So how do we do that? And I think, working with Steve and kind of getting to know more about accessible gaming and things like it really just all kind of came together and clicked, like
Mhm.
how important the work is.
Yeah.
So and that's been really fun, and like we've had a really good time kind of, you know, starting
Yeah.
to put that message more out there.
And that's like an interface that maybe wouldn't have been as obvious to me, that those two could work together, but it's true, and what you said about the money and the costs and everything with obviously when you have disability and like,
Mhm.
like for a lot of us, like me, I get disability income and like the money is not necessarily there to buy, just buy outright all the gaming equipment or whatever we want. So I mean, like if there are options like what you're doing to provide it, just
Right.
even for a short amount of time to rent it or something is like life changing, I would think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like libraries check out all kinds of things. I mean, we certainly check out video games, but sometimes we check out, actual controllers or consoles, or we check out, you know, kits that allow you to do drive-through theater, drive-in theaters in your yard, with inflatable screens and everything.
Ooh,
So
that sounds fun.
there's so many things that can be circulated now.
She told me she used to have lawn darts that they
Yeah,
checked out.
lawn
I was
darts,
What?
like, "Are
yeah,
you?"
like yeah, gate, yeah, various lawn games. I mean,
See,
pretty much anything you could think
Yep.
of,
I'm gonna
camping
have to do a
equipment.
deep dive into this stuff now. This
Oh yeah.
is it's
It's fascinating. I
interesting.
mean, if you check with your local public library, check out what their library of things, because it's a growing thing. Um, but if we check out all of that, and most libraries are trying to become more accessible, because they are not libraries have not historically been the most accessible spaces, and that is something I know that most libraries have really, really been trying to put more effort into. And so it has been very interesting to see the response and the interest in bringing adaptive gaming and adaptive gaming equipment and programming and services to libraries. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, it's sort of the other side of things of why, we're grateful that, you reached out to us to do this podcast and having, opportunities out there to talk about the disability side of things is disabled people don't even know some of these resources exist.
Well, see, like that's new to me. Like I always put libraries in a place like that's just not anywhere that I can get assistance or have that community necessarily. So like I'm kind of intrigued to spread some awareness on that too. That's really cool to
Absolutely.
see. Yeah.
It's our next steps is
Yeah.
starting up doing consultation work. We found that just in Vicky's one library, which is one of the bigger ones, it
Yeah.
adopted it really quick, and I thought, well, that's cool. And then I started kind of pushing into the other libraries. It's amazing how quickly the libraries were like, oh my God, yes, we want to give this to our community. Libraries love helping their communities. Love it.
Wow.
It was like we did this one program and then we presented at the American Library Association conference last year. And immediately, like people were reaching out to us and asking about it and asking for advice and how they could start something similar. We are presenting again this year. Like, we've been asked to present some webinars and stuff. So like there is definitely an interest there, which is awesome. And I think it's really, really cool that
it was. We didn't even realize how exciting and big it would be when, except for like all of a sudden we started realizing that this conference is putting us on the same billing ticket as the Librarian of Congress, which is an actual U.S. official person that they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to come speak at the event, and they're promoting us on the same page. And it's like,
that's awesome.
Wow, what are we doing that you love? And then the publications from the library world asking us for interviews and whatnot. And I'm like, Vicki, what is going on here? And she's,
you found something that's a need, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect it, I mean, I was terrified when we put this program together, I was like, this could be a disaster. I mean, we might get one person, like, I don't know what I don't know how this is going to go. I was terrified all the, technology was going to fail on me. But it was so great and so uplifting and so much fun and people were so into it. And so now I think it's limitless. I think it really is like, and obviously like every library is different and there's so many different ways libraries could go with it. But I'm really excited, to continue working more with Steve on, pushing it further.
I can't help but think about the schools too. Like I come from a long line of family who have been like elementary school teachers, and like they have obviously a connection to, well, the school libraries, but also, I think they do interact with the public libraries too. And so I'm thinking like there's probably another, place that could really help some people, especially, I mean, in the disability world, with kids that are going through school with, I guess, I don't know if they still call it special education programs necessarily, but, any kind of assistive or adaptive devices or anything to help with the learning side of things too. So like I don't know, it seems like a pretty limitless thing you've discovered there that you can share and help people with.
I think we're excited.
Very cool.
Very, very, very much. It's just kind of it's an onion that keeps peeling itself. It's just there's
so
more
you just have
ways.
endless analogies, by the way. That was a good one.
Thank you. I know I do that. I do a lot.
It's just so, he really does.
I mean, they're just like flowing right at this point.
It just comes out. He can't help himself.
Yeah. Well,
he's good at words.
I know how to word good. Yeah.
Well, I sure appreciate the time and everything. And I had a couple of like little icebreaker questions to end. But yeah, I appreciate you both coming on and definitely pass along any information on, the efforts you're doing with the libraries. And I'll put that out there too. I think that's a really big thing that's coming along.
Yeah.
I think you gotta remember we can all have a difference. We can all make a difference, and changing one person's life is important. So don't ever underestimate the power of a bunch of people changing a few people's lives.
Totally agree. I totally agree. But okay. All right. So Steve, I have to ask you, what would be your top 3 video games that you're currently playing or like you played, I don't know, recently?
I am such an eclectic gamer. I jump around I jump around so much. I have had so much fun with so many indie games that like 12 people have heard of. We've been playing a firefighting
Mm,
simulation game recently that you're a firefighter rescuing people from burning buildings. We played a cool game not too long ago that we were on Mars and you had a little robot that was terraforming Mars because it had this huge backstory about how, you know, bad, terrible thing had happened to Earth, but you know, you don't know what it is until you're finally figuring out why this robot is all by itself
interesting.
trying to help the world, you know, reform. And you know, I'll play things with my friends, you know, like Fortnites and Rocket Leagues and whatnot. But for me, there's nothing like a good story. Like you know, maybe that's why I was so easily falling in love with both the librarian and the libraries themselves. I just like storytelling in whatever form it comes.
Yeah,
I love it in
yeah.
video games too.
Hey, stories are the best. Yeah. Yeah, but
Mhm.
those are some different games, very different. That's not like the, Mario Kart or, kind of the standard things that you hear. So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like showing off stuff that, you know, because last year there was 16,000 new video games that were made. And
Seriously?
yeah, seriously, 16,000 new video games on a platform called
Ooh,
Steam. Steam is the biggest video gaming platform that there is, and if you're going to sell your game, you sell it on Steam. Last year they put on 16,000 new video games, and there's just no way that that many games
wow.
see the light of day. So I love to
Right.
find cool games that are not being played by every big name streamer and stream them to my 150 people so that
Yeah.
a bunch of people get to find out about these other
Well, I
things.
was gonna say, like I've been playing the same games at 17. I gotta branch out some more.
Yeah, yeah, you
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, yeah. But that's pretty amazing. I had no idea that there were that many new ones popping up. It makes sense, but I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
But okay, so Vicky, for you, like top three books that you've read like in the last year, maybe.
Ooh, good luck.
Um, so we do in Steve's community in the Discord, we do a book club
Mm-hmm.
every month. Um, and I'm like blanking on what we read last month.
King was your big one.
Well, he is always my big one.
Yeah,
I know.
huge King
I'm a
fan.
big Stephen
Yeah,
King fan.
yeah.
I would say like Stephen King, Friedrich Bachman is another big one. My friends, that was I read pretty much anything that he comes out with that's
Mhm.
new. Um, oh my gosh.
It's like House in the Cerulean Sea was my big one from book club.
You really like that one.
Yeah.
I really like that one too. And I
Mhm.
hadn't read that, but like I read that for book club. So
Uh-huh.
House by the Cerulean Sea, and the sequel, those are really good. TJ Klune is really good.
What was that weird one where you're like an underworld that like goes to different dimensions and one of them was
Ooh,
undead?
Oh, Fina, I think
Yeah.
was that one. That
that
was like
sounds interesting.
a novella. Yeah, that was a really fun one because that was like about like it's a novella, so it's very short, but
Yeah.
it was about yeah, Nino Cipri, I think was the author. That was about a store like IKEA kind of where like a wormhole opens and like this, grandmother gets sucked through it and they send two employees. It's very like it's sort of this like take on corporate culture and capitalism,
I was
but
gonna say
like
IKEA is kind of a black hole, probably.
It
oh
kind
yeah,
of is. Yeah.
100%. And they like send these employees through the whole wormhole to these other dimensions, some of which are terrifying and stuff. So the concept is very funny. It's tough because it's short. There is another one, I think it's called Defect, I think.
Yeah.
That is, a little bit easier to follow. Like, I liked a little bit better, but that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do like the novellas. Those are a lot of fun. I love like anything magical realism or fantasy,
Oh yeah, that's the
um,
best always for me.
all of that. And I love
Yeah.
Stephen King. I will read anything by Stephen King. Steve is terrified. Like Steve does not do horror at
Nope.
all,
Nope.
which is very funny. And we did The Shining for the holiday season.
Ooh,
My life is
mm-hmm.
scary enough. I don't need to be reading about a
Fair.
clown that eats
That is
people,
I
fair.
right?
I'm like, I owe it to our King fans in the community to do a King book every so often. And I'm like, oh, what better than The Shining around the holidays? It's, it's
Right.
bleak and cold. And so we did The Shining. I don't think you read it that month. I think you just showed up and trolled us. But it was
Nice.
that was a fun reread as well, because it had been a long time since I had read that one. So
Yeah. I'm a little bit iffy on the horror.
See, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
start reading a little bit more variety now, I think. But yeah.
It's good.
Okay, so this one's a group one, and I don't know how many. So we'll just say like, what's a favorite song that do you share a favorite song, or do you each have sort of your own genres that you kind of stick to?
We have, I would say we have several songs that are
Okay.
like favorites of ours,
Mhm.
like as part of our relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. When we were in the will they won't they phase, a big one for me was the was Rescue Me by Marshmello.
I have not heard that.
Yeah.
mhm.
And Marshmello is one of my favorite artists. I actually got to
Okay.
talk to Marshmello. He's a really good dude. But I was telling him he needs to do more to inspire the disability community. Because some of his music it has really good messages, really strong messages.
Yeah.
And I love that. Plus, man, that is
Nice.
stories and messages.
Mhm.
And was it what's the name of the one?
Dancing with Your
Yeah,
Shadows. Is it Dancing with Your Shadows by Philip Phillips?
yeah, I think that's it.
That was
That
another
sounds
one.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really good song. Um,
Well, he was an
uh,
American Idol winner, right? If I remember correctly.
which one?
Philip Phillips, is that what he's,
I think it's Philip
is it?
Phillips.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
he was
Dancing with.
one of the reality shows that
yeah,
he
I think
came
he was.
from.
Yeah,
Oh
didn't
yeah, he won American Idol,
American
right?
Yeah,
Idol.
yeah,
Yeah, I
right.
think he was
Yeah.
American Idol.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so Dancing with Your Shadows, that's a really good that one for sure.
yeah,
Because I suffer from anxiety and I get
Hmm.
panic attacks, and that kind of resonated for both of us. Um, I think
Those are
another
good.
one was what Only Us from Dear
yeah,
Evan Hansen.
yeah.
See,
Um,
I'm learning like all these new music like artists now. I'm gonna have to go study.
we're all over the place too.
I
I'm
know,
realizing I'm
man.
like we've got
Like
musicals, we've
random
got
games and random
You
yeah,
music.
know,
Yeah, it's
it's
good.
strange because
I like that.
you talk about icebreakers. My thing is I don't generally watch the same TV or movie shows more than once. I don't
Mm.
read the same thing more than once, and very different than a lot of people. Vicky has her comfort shows that she'll watch Sex and the City till the blue cocks come home. But I love variety.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much out there, and I don't know if it's because I do have a terminal illness or what, but
Mm.
I feel like there's so much out there I'm
You want to
not going to get
experience
to
something new
experience.
over and yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You want to just experience as much about life as you can.
Right. Yeah, for me, to me, it depends on like the scenario and what I need at the moment. Because like
Mhm.
if it's like relaxing or anxious type stuff, I'll put on something I've seen a million times.
Yes.
But if I'm awake and like, kind of actively doing stuff or watching, I'm like, I want something that I haven't seen before. So maybe it's like just where you are at the moment. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think there is like a comfort in something that like isn't going to cause me anxiety. I know where
yeah,
this is going. I know what's going to happen. I don't have to pay super close attention.
yeah,
But I think when we watch stuff together, I mean, we usually watch new stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
and that's fun too. I mean,
Yeah.
we enjoy that as well. So
Variety. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And last one has to do with drinks. So if you had to choose between Gatorade and ginger ale, which would you both pick?
Grab the bottle. Grab the
This is
bottle.
so hard. Okay, I literally have Gatorade here. I have two bottles.
She literally has two
I
bottles,
was
right?
finishing one and I brought a second,
Yeah.
just in case.
Nice.
They both serve different purposes for me.
Okay. Okay.
I do struggle with hydration. So Gatorade is my hydrating go-to, obviously, but
But ginger ale is like,
but nausea, like I get very,
I
nausea is
do
like,
too. Yeah.
I am dying that you picked her
that
two
is the
favorite drinks.
best.
That is literally her two
We did a
favorites.
video
Well, it
on
was
it. It's yeah.
intentional. It was
I
intentional.
yeah, ginger ale I actually just love ginger ale though. I
Yeah.
mean, let's
They never did call us for that sponsor.
even if I know, right?
Hey,
Unbelievable.
just keep mentioning it.
We're gonna keep pushing it. We're gonna
Well,
keep
okay,
pushing.
so ginger ale brand or Seagram's. That's the tough one.
Oh,
So I usually just get Canada Dry.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
like
right. Canada Dry. Yeah, that's the
Canada
other
Dry is my
brand.
general
Yeah.
go-to.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty, like I just like ginger ale. Although sometimes if you go to a place that like makes their own, it can be a little too strong on the
See, I like
ginger.
this deep dive into the ginger ale.
There's
Yeah.
got to be a good balance,
Yeah. Well,
carb.
Seagram's is the one that's like, I just can't change from that. It's
No,
really been good.
I think, and if you find one that's your comfort one, you've got
Yeah.
to stick with it,
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm like a
especially
mini Canada now.
if it serves you like if it serves you like if you get nauseous and it's like it's a comfort
Yeah.
drink, but
Yeah.
also like it serves a purpose. And so yeah, I'm very, very loyal to my Canada Dry. That's why
Yes.
I think, one of these days they're gonna hit us up.
I'm just
Yeah.
cracking up because as an interviewer, you know that you have hit someone's passion area when they start talking with their hands and they're like really into it. And like you hit Ginger Ale, she is all about like the hand motions while
Well,
talking.
I know.
well,
Nothing else.
when you brought the Gatorade bottles into the camera, I was like, that is the right question to ask.
Right.
It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, it's either gonna be yeah. I
Well, what
I
about you,
always I
Steve?
always have a Gatorade nearby.
Does Steve drink Gatorade or ginger ale? Do you like
I do not love either of those things.
really?
Unless you
Okay.
sponsor us, Canada Dry. In that case, I love ginger ale.
He will
Yeah.
drink it. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
had to choose,
If I had to choose, I'll choose Gatorade because it has multiple
okay.
flavors.
All
So
right.
yeah, yeah.
That's respectable.
Every once in a while, we've been caught out somewhere where I'll have to take like a pill or something, and she'll be like,
Yeah.
"Have some of my Gatorade," and I'll be like,
You're like,
like I'm a
oh
toddler, just
man.
like,
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
his favorite.
Okay,
He's
what's your
he's
go-to drink then?
no Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you
Yeah.
still do the carbonation. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I
yeah.
love the
Yeah.
carbonation, but there, no, I've said multiple times, even when I go on a diet, I am a well-rounded man, but I will not give up my Dr. Pepper. It's not happening.
he loves his
Hey.
Dr. Pepper. Or you'll do like a Coke with grenadine.
If I need to, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Coca-Cola with
Yes.
okay.
grenadine
Go
he'll
for
do.
grenadine. Yeah, my mom
Do
taught
you
me
have
that
a
trick.
name for that drink? That feels like it should have a name.
It should have a
It
name,
should
I
have a
think.
name.
So grenadine, to those of you who don't know, is not actually cherry, even though they bill it as cherry juice. It's actually pomegranate. So
Whoa, oh
you're
wow,
drinking a
this is
pomegranate
detail.
Coke. Yeah, it's wild. Tastes really good.
This is deep. Like I should have
It's a
led
deep
off
dive.
with
Yeah,
this.
He
Like,
also drinks what is it, Mio?
Mios. I
Mio.
love
So
Mios.
of
oh, so
water
is
with
that like a
Mio.
mix?
So
Oh, okay.
so that's his like my Gatorade. So like I'll have Gatorade, he has his water with Mio, and then like
Yeah.
when we're having, or ginger ale and Dr.
I'm trying
Pepper.
to
Yeah.
hydrate myself because I'm an
Right.
adult now.
That's his hydration drink.
Apparently, I'm an adult.
He's got to have water.
The
So
hydration drinks are hard. That's a rough one for
they're
me.
not as fun.
No.
No.
And
Nope.
nurses will complain at you if you don't drink enough. So,
So will caregivers.
Yeah.
yep.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's a good note, I think, to end the episode on. I'm glad that we got to talk about the drinks. That's a maybe the
And
most
it's like
important thing
so
that we talked
animated that we
about.
got.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh my God, I could talk
I
all
know
day about
we're talking about
Gatorade and ginger ale.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love talking about accessibility.
I know.
We're like very
All the important
conversational.
stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah,
But
know.
I tell
the
ginger ale,
real
she's like, oh yeah. Let me
Okay,
tell
let's
you.
talk
yeah.
about Canada Dry.
The real connection is over
Yes,
drinks. That's
that's right.
yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we may
I
do
really
a
appreciate
little
you both.
advocacy thing one day to just do Canada Dry taste testing. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I think that needs to happen. Cool. Well, thank you both for coming on. And I'm going to check out the Discord too, and I'll share that with everybody. And so, like for people connecting, looking to follow your stories, Instagram, YouTube, kind of the main places to go.
Yeah, I'm Steven Spawn, literally on all the platforms. I'm the more social
Okay.
media guy.
So so he's Steven Spawn. We're Interdisabled in Love on YouTube and on Instagram. I think we're on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, we are on Facebook also. But mainly, yeah, YouTube and Instagram right now. So